Marshall Dice, known as Adam Campbell, and we are live here on Google Hangout. And we are sitting down with a cool person that a couple weeks ago we were at the Groundhog Day gaming retreat, and we sat down and we got to play a really cool game, and it gave us all the heebie-jeebies. And now here we are sitting down with him. This is Dave Cook, the creator of Heebie-Jeebies. How's it going?
Hi, it's well. Thank you so much. I'm
So,
glad you had a good time with it.
well, it was a lot of fun. It was a great game.
Thank you.
So tell us, what's been going on for Zippewa Inc.
Zipwa.
Yeah, what's been going? Anything going on with that?
Well, so Zipwa's actually been around since 2000. This is our fourth game. We had three others. The first one we did was called Management Material. There's a general office version, and basically the whole idea is you use lame excuses to get a really bad project and pass the buck. If you can't excuse yourself out of a project, you have to take it, and if you reach 30 points in projects, you're promoted to management and kicked out of the game. So you want to be the last peon standing. So we did that one in 2002, and then we brought out an IT version of it in 2003, and then a marriage material, which you're trying to avoid commitments and make you look like the marrying type, and brought that one out in 2004 to kind of change the general idea of it. Same mechanic, but different concept. And then we kind of stalled for a while to recoup resources and the like, but you never really stop making games, you just stop producing them. So in 2008, we started, Heebie-Jeebies started up. And once we got that one rolling, it took about 6 years now to actually get it into print. But so that released in December, and now we're just pushing the knowledge that actually exists and letting it run.
Sweet, sweet. So how did this all come about? What was your background in board games? Did you play a lot of board games as a kid?
Actually, I didn't do a lot of board games so much as a kid. I did a lot more role-playing games when I hit about 12, 13, something like that. And they stole my heart to start. So between the role-playing games and then a friend of mine got me playing Magic. And when you play the games once in a while, everybody knows that you kind of look at the mechanics and go, oh, I could do something different, or I could do this, or if you did this, it would be, we would have this other variation or whatever. And it just happened that when I was in Virginia at the time for the management material, and I was working at MCI, and we had about 60 people in our department, but about 10 people actually did the work. So you would have the other people wandering aimlessly around that pretended very hard to work, but didn't really do much, and were just masters of avoiding any real work to be done. So at one point I couldn't take it anymore, and I took a sanity day, was sitting home, and my roommate walked out, and he had done the same thing because he had the same environment, except he had a law office. And we started talking about the different things, and we're like, oh, God, these people are doing this. Oh, it's terrible. I can't believe how these guys are getting out of work. Oh, yeah, I got these guys doing this. And I'll never forget, there was this long pause. And I said, we should make a game. And yeah, we should. And we just kind of sat there. Well, no, really, write these down. And so we just started making our list, and we had these little cutout cardboard or construction paper, little blue and gray cards that we took to a friend's house at a Mardi Gras party. And my buddy on this one is Eric Light Putnam. We just call him Scooter because it's easier. We took it up to our friend's place, and we were like, hey, we got this little game. We'll drink for points. Yeah. Well, when you're at a Mardi Gras party with hurricanes, you don't drink points. So we got about maybe 3 points and realized that was a bad idea and just played. But what made me laugh and actually kind of stunned me was the games, we can play 5 people with it, and as it would go, um, we would see people cycling out, in and out, and there was nothing really special about the cards. They're very simple and everything, but that game went on for like 7 hours of people zipping in and out, and we were shell shocked because we had never dreamt that people would actually be interested in some little funky thing that we'd done, like that. So we got all excited and had somebody's like, "Oh yeah, I can sell the property to a publisher." We're like, "Great!" And then nothing really happened, and we promptly forgot about it for 2 years. Just nothing came about it. So the long story here for your question. Sorry.
No problem, no problem.
But it was so funny because I moved from, that was in Washington D.C., and I moved up to Chicago, and I started dating my now wife Tamara, and she kept looking at me and saying, "What are you gonna do something with this game? What are you gonna do something with that game?" And I'm like, whatever. Yeah. And she actually took it.
I'll
Yeah,
get around to it.
yeah, eventually. So she actually went to Gen Con with me. She was brave and wandered all over the place and started pimping the game to people. It was like, "Would you buy this?" And came back with this list of cards saying, "Yeah, I hear these companies said that they would consider buying it." And I'm like, "Oh my God, okay, thank you." And she's like, "Oh, I had to tell him I was married to you." That, yeah, whatever. Yeah, I guess that's an omen. Got it. But so she kind of pushed us into the, well, finally in the car. When are you gonna do something with that game? All right, fine. So I called up my buddy who was stronger in the financial aspect than I was, and he became our spare change guy, chief spare change guy, Don Moffat, and I'm the I'm the monkey warden of the company to keep all the monkeys at bay and where they should be. Because if you don't have a fun title in a company that you own, then what are you doing? You got to have fun stuff. So yeah,
That's how I came up with Dice Squad.
see, it works. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird. Once you hook into the general idea that you're doing, it just becomes a little math setup, and we were both lucky enough and smart enough to realize that the simplicity was everything for what we do for games. So for management material and that range, it's really just a bidding thing. You have excuses that have points and you have projects that have points. You need to equal or exceed the value of a project to get out of it with any number of cards. If you do, passes on to the next player, and they got to deal with it. And they just keep going around until someone does it. So when we kept it that easy, we have like, I had a fourth grader just destroy me twice this last Sunday. He had no idea what it meant or what the cards were about, but he was really good at his math and just clobbered me. So it's been kind of fun to be able to kind of keep to that core and zip around. But I mean, I had played all of the standard ones as a kid, the Monopoly and the Sorry and stuff, because we didn't have game stores and the like. So when I finally started seeing Dungeons and Dragons, we played a little of that, and then we ran into some friends who were playing Villains and Vigilantes, and that became our other really big core game we used to play. So those were kind of the keystone ones, and then we just built our repertoire off of the being the rules lawyers and tables and charts, and hey, if you do these numbers and whatever, you could do this. Oh, okay.
So Heebie Jeebies. How
Yes,
did that? Because this was the game we were talking about. That was project management, right?
yeah, that was management material, the one I'm talking about. So we had taken that, like I said, slight break, and then 2008 rolled around, and my wife and I are playing Warcraft with some friends, and we were all on Ventrilo and talking, and it was more of a social thing for us anyway. We never got anything accomplished, just having a good time. Well, we had a friend out in.
Now, World of Warcraft, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Horde or Alliance?
Oh yeah, we went Alliance. So Horde would have been. I was pushing for Horde to start, but my buddy was. He was like, "Oh no, we got to do Alliance," and then we just got stuck and whatever. Get a Horde, have fun with the storyline, but all the guys with the money are on Alliance, so what do you do? I could switch them now, but yeah. Um, so one of our friends, Jen, was in Idaho, and Jen is that friend that you just love to push her buttons. It is more fun than anything else. That's why you get on to play the game. It has nothing to do with the game. It's just that you find something in there where you can just laugh and make her anxiety level go up somehow. And because it's like a little sister. You just poke, poke, poke. So for some reason, the word moist came up, and she lost her mind. Just started ranting about, oh my God, that is the worst word ever. Stop using that word. And to this day, if I text her moist, that's all I have to text, I will get a very abrupt and pointed text back of what I can do. So things that are not really possible or appropriate. And so I'm laughing. I'm like, oh, this is kind of funny. So I came back the next day and I go, hey, Jen, what do you think about an ant crawling around your ear? And she just starts, you can hear her kind of stutter for a little bit and go, what is wrong with you? And at that point, I'm like, oh, this is just a fun time. And it just sort of clicked. It's like, what do we actually have a structure here. And we started laying out all these different cards. So we start out, next thing we know, we got 100 after I just sat down. You sit down on an Excel spreadsheet and you go to start going down the line. And next thing you know, instead of 100, now you got 200. And you're like, oh, you know what else really bothers me? This. And now I've seen all these other things bother these people, this. And so we had this bank of about 350 cards. Well, we took that, and I immediately actually knew what I wanted to do for the structure for the game. And I was lucky enough to be, I guess, to realize the play value of it and just how it actually would go. It's like, okay, here you go. Here's your 4 cards. You tell me which one of these 4 bothers me the most. If you're right, you'll get a point. If you don't, then so be it. Moves on to the next player. And so I'm like, oh, I think this will work. Let's go over to our friend's house and test it out. So we've known these guys for a long time. It was our friends Erica and Chris, and they've been dating for like 8 years. And the cards we had, the prototype, it only had the name of the card on it. It didn't have any flavor text or any of our icons or anything. And we sit down, and this was the moment of aha, where Chris puts 4 cards in front of him, and Erica looks and goes, oh, I know which one this is, and votes for her card. And Chris picked something else. And she started to call him out on it and goes, now wait a minute, I know you hate this other thing. And Chris goes, oh, I do, but didn't I ever tell you about the time this happened to me? And goes into this story about something nobody knew had happened to him. And we were sitting across the table just in awe, because there are so few games that you get someone to pull a story out without it feeling artificial. So it became this moment of like, oh my God, I got to print this. Oh my God, I got to print this. And then it went through this 6-year cycle of, yeah, no, it's not going to happen. Yeah, it might have. No, it's not going to happen yet. Okay. So we find.
Yes, no, no, yes, yes, no, no, yes, 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 no, no.
Yeah, but what's been so fun about this is, the 6 years allowed us to tweak it and to really refine it and also get opinions. So we would ask people, we're like, give us your cards, what bothers you? And we would get some really funny stuff from people that doesn't really touch a nerve for me personally, but because they give it to you, you know it bothers them. It's like, okay, you're going to give me something. You're not going to give me something lame. You're going to give it to me for a reason. And we made a rule right away that said if someone gives us a suggestion, we keep it, and we will weed it out as we need to, but we're not going to just arbitrarily throw anything. And we hit. It was probably the best rule we made in the company in a way because we were playing with some other friends, and I'll never forget one of the cards was Jack in the Box. And you look at Jack in the Boxes, and you get one of two things. You're either like, yeah, it's a toy, whatever, or you get the, oh dear God, that is the worst thing ever. And we ran into our couple of friends who she pulled Jack in the Box, and I had just had it in there as a, these are all of our cards, we'll weed down kind of thing. And she started laughing so hard she was crying. She couldn't even begin to explain herself until after she had chosen Jack in the Box, and she's like, "They're awful," and we're like, "But what? Because you never know when they're gonna pop out." And her fiance is like, "Yeah, you do at the end of the music." But no, you don't understand. There's that split second where you're just not sure, and it just made the hair stand on the back of her neck, and I was like, okay, I
It's like
get that.
it's like that one scene in Elf where he's
Yeah,
sitting there and he's got the Jack in the Box and
yes. So we've gone through and it's been just amazing. So what now? I mean, after 6 years and the cards haven't changed that much. For me, the best part is to watch other people watch their facial features because what happens is as they play it, you'll draw the four cards, and we need to figure out what it is that bothers you of those four. But I need to internalize that card first, and in order for me to even begin to process it, I have to put myself in that space that you just watch people melt. And some of you hit the dentist drill come up, and you'll just watch people twitch and across the table, and you start to laugh a little bit because you see the utter discomfort, but they're trying to do the poker face and failing so badly. But and then the story's like loading up. You can watch some people just vibrate as they're waiting for the card to be chosen so they can tell their horrible story and flush their soul of this terrible experience kind of thing. But
I got to say, when we did the review for Dice Squad,
yeah,
we looked at the game. I had that same kind of feeling when the cards came up, and in particularly one of the because if you I'm in our interview, swallowing tobacco spit.
yep. Oh
Which
my
was
God, that was yeah.
that one just kind of just was like I'm like that's not right.
I think so. And it's fine. I mean, we worked very hard to make sure that the game was uncomfortable but not inappropriate. So you know, we've had some people go, "Oh, it's like Cards Against Humanity," and I'm like, "Well, not really. It's I mean, it's a whole different beast, but it is something that'll make you uncomfortable, and that's what it's about you want to see what makes people twitch and what makes it kind of how good is the poker face, how well can you hold your own. But that tobacco spit one has been just hilarious with Andrew. Oh my God, when that came up the first time, he literally jumped up and ran away from the table. It was just one of the funniest things we've ever seen. And then of course you just use it all the time, right? You're like, hey Andrew, tobacco spit, oh, not even playing the game. Excellent. But yeah,
Well,
it.
He had told me that that was a Kickstarter plus that you
It
could you
was.
could rattle off cards. You could that you guys would create them.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, that was one of the bigger bonuses or bigger rewards was to basically allow people to give me their own card, and we got some really good ones in there, which is exciting for me because as much as I love making the game, I know that this one can be bigger than myself. I know that I'm not the only creative person with this kind of mentality. So what we've always been shooting for, and a really important part of the whole game process for this one is we've got 250 cards in the original game in order to keep the cost at a certain level and make it so we could actually get it into print. But we've always been planning on expansions, and we've got probably of the 250 in there, we've got another 400 to 600 ready to go that we're just waiting for the right, to get through this print, and then we'll bring out an expansion of X amount of cards and
Well,
allow you to add that in.
you had said
But,
400 to 600. That's new cards.
oh yeah, yeah, I got 400 to 600 waiting just to go through and send to the printer, and yeah, I want to get a little, some different artwork. I know it seems weird, but when you do this for six years and you start mining people going, hey, do you have, or you're just walking along and you see something, and it just sort of trips something in your brain. You're like, oh yeah, that's not right, and it's just even the little things like we've got, yeah, when you're in, we live in Wisconsin, and you get the same kind of thing where it's like you walk outside in summer, and when the mosquitoes are coming out, and you get that mosquito buzz in your ear, you're like, okay, I need to tear my ear out of my head because that sound is the worst thing ever. And so we've got some of those that I'm like, wow, that's a really good one for the first one, but at the same time, I want to have really good ones for the second one too. So we didn't really we didn't hold back so much on anything in the first one. I was really confident with what we had, but there were just so many good ones that we're like, oh, the expansions are just going to be a ball to bring out, and I want to bring them out, and then eventually I want to make them a little tougher to for people to just to ignore, and see what we get for discussions and laughter on those. But that being said, the other really important thing that we've been putting into place is we have our first shot in right now of being able to make your own card. So we have a website called yourheebiejeebies.com where you can actually print out a PDF of your card and put in your own flavor text, put in, get credit on the card if you want to, and put that on cardstock, print it out, drop it into the game.
That's
And
that's awesome.
and the cool part of that is it doesn't hurt me at all because and I've had discussions with other designers about this too, where they're thinking that takes control away from, well, not so much control, but it possibly breaks balance in a game. But I look at it in a different way because yes, you can. If it's very possible, people will start making like ringer cards that you look at and go, that is so bad, it has to be the one out of the rest of these. And we actually started the game with some cards in there like that, which were like buried alive, being buried alive, being eaten by a shark, and they were sort of too extreme where they trumped anything else. So it's like being buried alive or swallowing tobacco spit. If you don't pick being buried alive, there's something wrong with you. So we leveled the playing field, and I know that people will still put cards like that in their own game, but the benefit is it becomes more of a social game, right? There's a pride to having your own card in a game and being able to look at people and go, I made that. Look, here it is. So people who have already bought the game, they can expand it themselves, But later on, it's going to give me a database to actually go back and mine for other ideas to continue to create expansions and give those people credit who have actually created it. So you may start to see entire expansions that have people's names on the sides of the cards. And I just think it's kind of cool that you might be able to be a part of a game growing with the different aspects of that. So, like I said, first version of it, giving it a shot. It was a little wonky at first, but we're seeing what we can do. So,
Dave?
yeah.
Oh, hey, sorry.
All good.
Technical difficulty there.
So where'd I leave off?
You were talking about print and play.
All right. So yeah, people will actually be able to do that themselves, and that will give me a database later on where hopefully entire expansions will basically have credit for people who have made these cards, and so we can throw them in, and people can pick up the expansion. They can literally just pull a card out and go, "Look, it's my name and my city and state. Woo, I did this!" And so you get kind of a community feel to the game more so than this guy made it.
You can go to your family and be like, "I'm a success. I have a card."
Exactly. Well, it's so funny. We had some friends that we did a sales contest for our third game, the marriage material, and two sales reps that sold the most and to the most people. We made them characters in the game. So there's actually two people that are. It's so funny because I still see one of my friends who won one of those uses this picture as his Facebook ID all the time, his photo, and the other one has got it up on his wall, and he'll pop it in at the bottom of his signatures and stuff just because they're in this card game. Their likenesses, and so it's kind of fun to see. Everybody loves to be recognized and acknowledged for creativity, so it's kind of fun. I enjoy it.
So you were talking about with your expansions coming up for Heebie Jeebies. Are you going to be able to combine them all together, or can you play them separately, or?
Well, so far you wouldn't really play them separately. So it'll be just throw the cards in to give you a bigger breadth of things to compare against each other. So it'll add a little more flavor to that because as you play it a few times, you'll start to know the hierarchy of cards on your friends. So this will kind of water that hierarchy down and reshuffle it a little bit as new things start to pop in and reevaluate the horrors of certain things that they hadn't run into before.
Cool. So any games aside from Heebie-Jeebies, any particular board games that you're particularly interested in right now aside from any of the games you're currently working on?
Well, I've got in terms of what the ones that I love. I'm a big fan of Pandemic. I think that is a brilliant game, and so damn hard to beat. But I think that's what's beautiful about it is, it's like I think the first time I played it, I won, and then after that, it was just never again. It's just going to crush my soul, with the virus explosions. So that's always been a fun one for me. Um, I think one of my favorite games though to play with friends is actually Paranoia. Not so much board game, but when it comes to just making people laugh and get out of the role-playing norm, Paranoia, you can't beat it. I mean, the whole idea behind it, the edition, I think it was a second edition I had played or something like that. And one of my favorite things about that, which actually has stuck with me in the way I make games, is in the rules. It was, it was like hoard information, like crazy. Second line, kill the bastards. Next, make sure it's fun. Next line, kill the bastards. And then the last one is if any of these rules don't make this game fun, ignore them. And you're just you look at that and you're like, that's brilliant. You've given everyone license to the freedom to enjoy it and ignore things that are not fun because as you design stuff, I mean, we've had things pointed out to us, and we're like, oh yeah, oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah, I should have thought about that earlier before we actually made 10,000 of those. Okay. So yeah, you think you got it all down, and then you're like, oh, okay. But yeah, so I think that's kind of one of my big ones right now, and um, yeah, unfortunately I don't get enough board game nights as I'd like to, but when I do, that's kind of one of my fun ones.
So aside from Heebie, Jeebies, and the other expansions that you talked about, are there any other future projects, board games that you guys are looking down the pike, maybe a couple of years from now, that are in kind of the planning stages?
Um, I got a, I probably have about 3 or 4 prototypes of other games that have kind of they resurface every once in a while, and you play test it a little bit, and then you realize, it's not there yet, and then you see something shiny and forget about it for a while, and um, so yeah, I was thinking about it today. It's like once I can get this to a new level where I maybe it almost helps to create itself in a way. Yeah, there's a couple of them that I want to focus on that I think have potential in a completely different vein, and just try something different, see what we can come up with.
Well, you also mentioned in our conversation before this interview that you're going to be at Gen Con this year.
I am. Yes, we're gonna have a booth. Yay! We're first time back in Gen Con for like 10 years. So yeah, it'll be the first real official first big con that we'll have had Heebies at for the general public to see. So yeah, we're not sure where we're going to be yet, but it should be it'll be a good time. The first Gen Con we went to, we was in Milwaukee, and we had a wonderful marketing idea where when people would play management material, when they lost, we would make them wear a tie. So people had these horrific ties that we had gone out to garage sales and just wiped out the entire tie selection over a 3-month period, had hundreds of ties. And we had there were the ties of shame. And whenever someone was the first one out of the game, they were promoted to management and they needed a tie. So we would anoint them with these ties, and I was laughing so hard because we had people asking, they're coming up, can I have a tie, please? And we're like, you got to play the game. You have to earn your tie. But people are just wondering. It's like all these people with T-shirts and ties wandering all over the place, and some people they were very confused. They're like, why are there ties in this convention? I don't understand why. But it was so funny. I would see the ties actually years later, like 5 years later at conventions, people would still wear the ties, and it was just one of the funniest things I've ever seen. So I'm looking forward to bringing those back.
That's
And
genius.
Reanointing the new generation to the ties of shame.
But
So,
but no Origins Game Fair?
the day job is crushing me. So unfortunately, I just have just limited time to get to certain stuff. So I had to kind of choose, and that one we already had the hotel for anyway. So it was like, we got the booth, fine. So maybe next year we'll have to see how we can get stuff off the ground and how things go.
I've heard many rumors about Gen Con about how it's 10 times bigger than Origins, and General Dice has been telling me numerous times that sometime down the road we will be able to go to Gen Con, but we normally, because it's so close to us, we go to Origins all the time. So
I get it. Yeah, no, I get it. It is Indy has done well for Gen Con, and I'm very proud of them for it. They embraced the gaming community in ways that was just unexpected. You walk into almost any restaurant and they've got it decorated with some sort of gaming thing, and they've opened it up late night gaming, and because they know that the gamers are there to spend money. They and this was something that made me laugh with Milwaukee, is when they wouldn't really help the con expand. I sat there and I'm like, why would you ever want this convention to go away when gamers are the only people who will save their money the entire year and walk in with a wad of cash and feel like they failed if they have any of that left when they leave. It's like, I have this money, it must be spent at this convention, I don't care, it cannot leave with me. So with the way the Indie did it, it really was nice. And then Indie also provided me the funniest thing I think I have ever seen at a convention, and that was the first year, Saturday night, they had a Colts preseason game. And so the con let out at 6, everybody exited the building, and the preseason game started at 7. So Colts fans were just flooding towards the building, and it was all connected. So you saw a sea of blue jerseys walking towards the stadium, and a sea of elves, gnomes, stormtroopers, and orcs walking towards them in unity. And you have never seen football fans so confused in your life. They're looking around, had no idea what was going on, a little paranoid, and all the gamers, heads high, never felt more unintimidated. It was just the funniest thing I think you've ever seen, to watch all these fans a little freaked out that had pointy-haired people walking towards them without any reservation whatsoever. So it was fantastic. But yeah, hopefully you can get there sometime. You'll enjoy it.
That's on the list of future places that we want to get this podcast at is Gen Con. But this year we're going to be at Origins. So
okay, fair enough.
So
Makes sense.
so any closing remarks? Any inspiration to any future game designers out there that want to maybe make a game or don't know what to do?
Well, so this sounds kind of weird, but so the making of the game is not actually as hard as it seems. The production actually isn't. The hard part is the financing. So in general, expect to spend about $25,000-$30,000 on a print run, depending on what you're doing. Sometimes it can be a lot more. Distribution is critical in getting your games out, because trying to drop ship anything will destroy you in terms of finance. So the hard part of this one is that you've got this wonderful idea, manufacturing it and getting it out is actually relatively easy, but the sales part is very difficult because there's not really a lot of advertising. These podcasts are amazing, and they're really relatively new in the grand scheme of this industry in terms of being able to actually let people know you exist. And that's 90% of the battle. People don't even know you have a game. I think there were like 800 games created last year. Most of them through Kickstarter now. So I guess the thing to just be aware of is pre-orders are critical, because distributors don't order that much anymore. And it used to be that they would pick up a huge amount of your supply, and then they would sell it out and then come back. So you would at least get this big chunk of money to pay off what you had done. Well, they don't do that anymore. They really do a very small first order and kind of order it as needed kind of thing, which then puts all the onus on you and adds warehouse charges and smaller shipping quantity charges, and it really starts to eat away. So it's something I'll talk to anybody about to try to help them out with. That's always been our thing, is we gladly help anybody, because this isn't really about competition in this industry. We all need to kind of stick together, or else you're going to wade in and flash out. Yeah, I mean, it's fun and it's self-rewarding, but it's not very profitable unless you really grab something amazing and get this spike of super publicity that everybody hopes for, but it takes a lot of work and a lot of time and just a lot of crazy expectations, I guess, and due diligence. So yeah, kind of it's the up and down kind of bummer aspect of, yay, you can be a game designer, but expect to spend a lot of money and time on it. Okay.
I feel the same way with podcasting. There's a lot of time where, because generally when I approached my partner General Dice Todd Evangelista about doing a podcast,
Yeah.
I didn't realize how much work went into it in the
Sure.
sense of, and also promoting. But I got to say that right now in the this is just kind of for fun kind of stuff, but
Yep.
it's slowly growing.
Sure.
And it's wonderful to see people, to meet people and to interview and just talk about, hey, what's been going on with Heebie Jeebies. Let's have a chit chat. And this has been lots of fun.
It's been really appreciated, to be honest. The one thing that is interesting, though, that I can see as a double-edged sword for the way that technology is helping games with reviews and things is when we first showed off Heebies to some retailers. Actually, recently, we were working on pre-orders. There was actually a guy wrote an article about it that kind of slammed it right before we were doing the Kickstarter, saying that it was a Cards Against Humanity knockoff. I kind of responded to him and I said, I don't think that's really fair to do, considering you were sitting across from me and you could have asked me anything about the game. And if you'd have asked any questions, you would have found that we had designed it before Humanity was even out. We just didn't have the money to produce it, and it's been sitting there. So there would have been this I guess, an explanation instead of just jumping to this conclusion of, this is my perception right now because of this, when you have an opportunity to do something different. And I brought that up to him because what you're doing is kind of it can hurt. It'll kill a game trying to get a Kickstarter immediately. And so it's been really appreciated how you guys, you look over stuff and you talk to us and get the full picture of how things are, so that when you do talk about it, it's not just like a knee-jerk kind of thing. I like your rating and everything else. It's kind of fun. So I do appreciate how you guys do that.
Well, thank you very much. Well, one of the things you talked a lot about Cards Against Humanity. That's one of General Dice's favorite board games. And I mentioned in the podcast, I said that Heebie-Jeebies it's a more family fun game,
Right.
where you could sit down with your grandmother and play Heebie-Jeebies, but you could never play play Cards Against Humanity with your grandmother.
Yeah, there's very few grandmas that you would really feel comfortable.
Or you would need some mind soap afterward. It would just.
Exactly.
Because I played Cards Against Humanity, and it's not my favorite. It's not one of my. It's one of the. It's a good game, but it's like it's a game where you hang out with your buddies and you laugh and.
And what's really funny is I've actually never played the game. I've watched it played, and I knew the general concept, but I deliberately stayed away from it so there would be no bleed. And there'd be no, accidental borrowing of any type with it. So, people will pop it out, and I'm just like, yeah, knock yourself out. But, at the same time, I play games because I want to laugh, and I don't know. There's a certain thing about certain mean-spirited things or mean concepts to me that I don't particularly appreciate, that I just avoid. And because there's so many other things that you don't have to dig into and still get the same pleasurable response. So, but each their own, whichever works. So, what's really
I'm
I'm sorry, what's really funny about the is, I really do like what the guys do with the money, though. The fact that they are so generous to the food banks and to was it like it was Wikipedia. They wrote a horrendously large check to it. Yeah, that has always impressed me. So, more power to them. If they can keep doing good things, then I'm all for whatever they can do, and whatever grandmas they can make gasp. So
There's not enough mind soap in the world for that.
I agree.
So where can people find your products for Heebie-Jeebies or any other board games you guys have? What are some of the websites you guys have?
Well, right now we've got it on zipwha.com. So it's zipwhaa.com. I finally put Heebies up there actually the other day. I kept it off deliberately because I wanted retailers to have the opportunity to sell it before I did. I really want retailers to feel good about representing the product, and that I want them to succeed with it. So it's been there for 2 months now, almost three. I think it's time that I can actually put it up, and people who don't have a game store near them. We're in enough distributors now where you should be able to walk into pretty much any game store and ask for it. They may not have it, but they should be able to get it from one of their distributors. So that would probably be the first place I would look, because one, it'll save shipping costs, and two, it actually helps us more in the respect that the distributors then will have higher numbers to reorder the stock from us. If it's coming from me directly, there's a higher margin, like most manufacturers have, kind of thing of selling their own stuff. But it's a short kind of I guess assistance. It's like, yay, I got an extra buck, but if I get it from another retailer store and then he's going to order 3 more instead of 1, that's the math works better. So, yeah, support your retail stores.
And you also have a Facebook page.
I do, yes. Yeah, you can follow our joyous stuff on our Facebook page and the interesting things that people throw at us every once in a while in there too. So, yeah, it's kind of funny to watch people posting. And I would love, for people to post pictures and videos of people playing the game. Feel free. I would love to see any of that anytime. It's always been a joy to watch other people kind of squirm around and feel a little uncomfortable, and that
And
makes
get the
everybody
Heebie-Jeebies?
feel good. Things, heebie-jeebies.
Well, it looks like we are almost out of time here. But Dave, I would like to thank you for being on Dice Squad. I appreciate you sitting down and chatting with us for an hour.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity.
But from all of us here at Dice Squad, this is Marshall Dice, known as Adam Campbell, with
Hey, Dave Cook from Zipwha.
and we got the heebie-jeebies, and we got to get out of here, man. But we'll see you next time on Dice Squad.
Take
Later,
care.
guys. Bye-bye.
Later.